All right, welcome back to the Pat's Pulpit Mock Draft Show. I am your host, Ryan Kieran. With me, of course, is Keegan Stiefel. And Keegan, I mean, we're already 2 out of 3 here. It's flying by, am I right?
Yeah, we're almost halfway through this episode. We'll be halfway through. I'm excited we did 3 weeks this year. I said it last week. I'll say it next week.
Yeah.
I'm physically crumbling, and it's week 2, so I'm excited to get this thing going.
Yeah, I'm ready. The draft is flying up. It's gonna sneak up on me this year. I think this show is the only thing preventing it from doing that. We have the live show, the live round one Pat's Pulpit live show is just over a week away, and you could tell me that was 3 months from now, and I'd agree.
Yeah, 9 days it's scary to think about.
Yeah, but everyone, make sure you tune in. Just like last year, we're gonna be live for all of round one, breaking down every pick, having a grand old time, hyping up the Patriots. Maybe crying about Mac Jones and then looking foolish as the regular season unfolds. Who knows? Keegan might be dead inside again. Never forget, folks, last year Keegan bought a hotel room because his internet at his apartment was so bad that he wasn't going to be able to do the show. He got a hotel room to go watch Justin Fields go to the Bears, and then the Patriots take Mac Jones.
Yeah, DirecTV's dead to me. We're an Xfinity family now. We've had nothing but good things with them, so we're excited to do it in the comfort of our own homes this year.
Beautiful. Darkman, go. I got a nice little haircut. We got a little bit of a fade going on. We can go
looking
no hat.
fresh to death.
Back in the fall, I was getting like a haircut every 3 months because of COVID, so it was real bad. All right, let's get right into it. So this week we're gonna be focusing on the defensive players. I think most would agree the defense is way more interesting than the offense this year, at least to me. So we'll get right into it right at the top. We have 3 edge rushers who are in. And we have 2 edge rushers who are in consideration to go first overall, and then another who's in consideration to go second. And that is Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Trayvon Walker out of Michigan, Oregon, and Georgia, respectively. And it seems like it's down to Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker at 1, but I think Keegan and I both agree that neither of them are the best edge prospect, if that's the way that you want to go at 1. Keegan, you have Kayvon at first overall there?
Yeah, he's my number 1 prospect. And now that we're into the defense portion, we can kind of, we're going to focus on defense, but we could talk about everything as a whole, offensively and defensively, and where we have people ranked. He's number 1 for me. And last year it happened to Justin Fields, and you can argue about the way his rookie season went, but Justin Fields went for being the clear-cut number 2 pick to he fell all the way to 11 last year. The same thing's happening to Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't think he'll fall as far, but just through no fault of his own, his draft stock is slipping. And I think that sucks for a guy who was the 1-1 pick for like 8 months, and then now all of a sudden he's fallen. But he's my number 1 guy.
Yeah, he's not my top overall player in the draft. We'll talk about that a little bit because my top handful of guys are all defensive. But he is, I think, when you combine positional value and talent, especially if they're going to go edge, he's like the clear-cut first overall pick to me. I don't understand what's happening here. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker are bad, but I think Thibodeau's in a league of his own there.
Yeah, it's tough because when you say one guy who isn't clear-cut 1-1 to the majority of people think you're putting down the guys in front of him. I'm not. Right. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be incredible. I think Trayvon Walker has the ability to be better than the both of them. But if I'm taking a shot at a player, it's got to be Thibodeau because I think he has both of those things inside where the other 2 only have 1.
I mean, I'm not really stating anything here. I think that Hutchinson has the floor, Trayvon Walker has the ceiling, and Kayvon Thibodeau has both.
Right.
He's not going to be Myles Garrett. I don't think any of these guys are going to be Myles Garrett, but he should be like somewhere between Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, which is a good starter to an all-pro. Like that's the range that you get for him. Aiden Hutchinson, I don't know that you get quite that high, and with Trayvon Walker, you could have someone who's not in the league in 5 years.
Right. Yeah, it's Trayvon Walker, and we'll talk about it. We're going to get into it, but Trayvon Walker is just Deion Jordan to me, where I might still take a shot at Deion Jordan because he was incredible, but also, he could also be very bad. So who knows?
I like Trayvon Walker a lot. Give me anyone on that Georgia defense, legitimately. There's except for one. There's one that we'll get to later that I'm probably out on at cost. But everyone else I'm in on. Top 5 is probably a little high to me for Walker. Top 10 I would have been fine with. If he goes first overall, I get the it's that he's the type of edge that Trent Baalke, the GM of the Jaguars, likes. He did it with Aldon Smith back in the day. Aldon Smith ended up working out. Like, it could work out great. Historically in Jacksonville, it doesn't work out great, but
nothing does.
Yeah, right, exactly.
With the edge class, it's funny too because we've had so much flip flopping because it isn't just three guys. There's Jermaine Johnsons and George Karlaftis and just even more. You can go on and on. There's just so many guys who have flip flopped and they've gone from 3 to 5 to 7 back to 3. So now that everybody's kind of settling into their spot, just because we're running out of time, it's not because people have realized this is where they should be. It's just we're running out of time to flip flop them again. It's very interesting to see who the guys were who fell into those spots. And I think a lot of it has to do with that ceiling versus floor debate that we've talked about every draft show we've done over the past 2 years.
And we can get into it real quick because the chat just nailed it. It's Devontae Wyatt is who I was alluding to here. He had some red flags come out. I'd probably be out on him regardless. Obviously, we as like an outside public have no way of knowing the severity or the truth to them. So I would even, for my purposes, put that aside. Obviously, as a team, you don't put that aside. This is one big one to me. He is old. He is already 24, like will be 25, I believe, during the season. And he was like the 4th or 5th best defensive lineman on that insane, to be fair, Georgia defensive line. But he was like I think Jalen Carter, who isn't draft eligible, is the best defensive lineman they had. And then you have Walker, you have Jordan Davis. I liked Nolan Smith a lot. And then I think you would have Wyatt come in behind all of them if you were ranking that front line. So I first round is probably heavy to me. If he was clean off field at his age, like day 2, later day 2, mid day 2, probably would be willing to take a shot just because it's someone from that defense. But at 24 years old with some question marks off field and just what he put on tape, I'm probably out on him late first.
Yeah, I've got a guy who's on my list, and we're going to get into our list later, who's in not a similar position, but they play that defensive line. They can kind of move out and play the edge a little bit, who I would take over him in a heartbeat, and he's fallen off a cliff in terms of his draft.
The former top 10 mock draft type guy.
Right, yeah, exactly. And those two Georgia guys you mentioned, I think it's just so funny. They both, despite Georgia having Wyatt and Jordan Davis, both of them were top 7 overall recruits coming out of high school, and they both picked Georgia. They're like, no, we're going to go there. We're just all going to play together. I think it's very funny.
I cannot wait for Jalen Carter next year. It's going to be so fun. But anyway, let's move on into the cornerbacks of the class because in my opinion, in many people's opinion, that's the biggest need that the Patriots have. I think they've almost worked themselves into a spot where like that's the only thing you do in the first round, unless an absurd talent falls, like a Jameson Williams is there, or some other defensive players that we'll talk about later happen to be there. But who is your cornerback 1 here? There's one correct answer.
In terms of everybody in the class, or Patriots?
Everyone in the class, not Patriots, just everyone in the class.
Because I've taken 2 off the board just because I don't expect them to fall. Number 1, I have Derek Stingley.
Okay, good.
It's just the on field, when he's on field, he's that much higher than everybody else. I get the injury stuff, but
I told Keegan that I have 3 true blue chip prospects in this class, and I will talk about them all as we reach each of them. They're all defensive, so we'll talk about them all tonight. Derek Stingley is my first one. Not first in order, but the first of the 3 that we'll talk about. He is a stud. He was a stud as a freshman. LSU kind of fell off a cliff, and his effort fell into question a little bit. But really, I just think that people got bored of him. It happens with every freshman phenom. They just get a little bored of it. Stingley is like the next dude, like the next lockdown number 1 type corner.
Yeah, and they play different positions, but it reminds me a lot of Tyrann Mathieu, who had a little bit of off the field stuff. It wasn't the end of the world, his off the field stuff, but it was brought some red flags. But he felt like it was more than Stingley's too. To be clear, absolutely. Yeah. But it reminds me in terms of talent, where a guy can just change your defense, and the fact that he was so good as a freshman, and then he fell off a tiny bit. And with Stingley, like you said, he was like 19, and he went from being on the best team in college football to the worst. So this is the one hyperbole I'm gonna do this draft season. He feels like Darrelle Revis to me.
Like that's the level
Okay.
that I'd put him on. He is so good. He is a borderline generational, like Hall of Fame level talent to me.
He's phenomenal, and I agree. But I want to get your opinion on Sauce Gardner because I think it's closer than I think you think.
I don't think it's close. Yeah, I don't think it's close.
Okay.
Let me wrap up on Stingley real quick.
Okay.
If the Patriots were picking in the top 10, that would be like my slam dunk pick for them. Like I think that they would fall absolutely in love with Stingley because he's a great run defender. He's not just a great run defender; he's a willing run defender. He's a great tackler. He's very physical. He is like their perfect cornerback. If he ever hits free agency, like I would expect the Stephon Gilmore type bag to be dropped.
Okay.
He is like the Patriots' wet dream at corner. I'm in love with Derek Stingley.
He wears 24 too, which is great.
He does. He can fill right in. Yeah. So Sauce. I told you I had a take. Here is my take.
Let's go.
I think that the consensus at this point is that it's Stingley, Sauce, and then a gap, and then everyone else. I think it's Stingley, gap, Sauce, and Andrew Booth, gap, everyone else. I'm a little low on Sauce, specifically for the Patriots. I think that I am out. I initially worded this a little differently, but I don't want to pretend to speak for the Patriots or like I have any knowledge of what they do, obviously. I think I am out on Sauce specifically for the Patriots because I think that they would be out on Sauce.
Okay. That makes sense.
He doesn't feel like their type of corner at all. He's big. He's very frail. He's not. Apparently, I didn't go back and watch 2020. Apparently, on 2020, he was a lot better, in tackling and run defense. He was not good in 2021. He is more of a zone corner. He can play man just fine, but he would thrive in like Legion of Boom type Seahawks cover 3. That's like his absolute perfect fit. I think that they would like Andrew Booth more. I like Andrew Booth a little bit more, especially when we're talking about the Patriots. If we're talking about in a vacuum, they're probably about even to me. But that's enough talking down because I think he's really good still. Absolute first-round pick. It's not going to be their decision because he's not going to make it to 21, but I think that I would take a few other corners specifically for the Patriots. Sauce Gardner is an elite name, and it hurts me that I'm not like pounding the table to go trade up for him because it's the best name in the league right now.
You know what's great about it too? Ahmad Gardner is a great name by itself.
Also, yeah, absolutely.
And then you throw Sauce in there.
Yeah.
What I like about Sauce is the fact that Kobe Bryant, who was his teammate and will be probably a day 2 pick, he won is it Jim Thorpe, I believe, like the defensive back of the year in college football award, playing across from Sauce. And that's because he had numbers because just no one threw at Sauce.
Right.
So people threw at him, so he was able to get a couple interceptions. He deflected a ton of passes, had a ton of tackles. Sauce got thrown at, I think, in 10 games, if I'm recalling the stat correctly, 10 out of their 12 games or whatever, he got thrown at less than 3 times. Right. That is, don't even test the guy because he's going to burn us. And I respect that really so much.
He is really good. I just think that there are better fits for the Patriots and for him than the Patriots. And there's enough good corners here where even if he was available, I'd probably go a different direction and then take one that I think fits a little better day 2. Incredible player. Not really much about the player as much as it is just the fit.
Yeah.
Like if he goes top 10, I'm not really blinking and I'm not like batting an eye at it. But he is a little lower for me.
No, I agree.
So in the realm of Patriots realistic options, teams that could be or guys that could be there at 21 among corners. I think we agree Andrew Booth is like the perfect option. He's probably a little bit of a pipe dream. He probably goes in the teens, but he might, there's that world where he slips a little bit and they should be all over that. Outside of him though, who are you looking at?
So I'll give you kind of a list in terms of how I view them. Booth is number 3 for me. Kaiir Elam is number 4.
Yep.
I can't get behind Trent McDuffie. I don't know why. I do know why, but it's little things that shouldn't kind of pull me back on a player. But Trent McDuffie, I don't view him as a number 1 shutdown, lockdown corner. I don't view him as a first-round pick. So I think those are the 4 that I would take a first-round pick on, or Stingley, Sauce, and then those 2. And then there are 5 day 2 guys that I would be over the moon if they selected, and a couple of them we're going to talk about later. But it's definitely those 2, and then McDuffie. I guess I would throw in as the 5th, maybe.
Yeah, Booth is probably my second, especially if we're looking through a Patriots lens. Like I said, above Sauce, but that's the top three. It's Stingley, then Sauce or Booth. I'm with you on Elam. I think in last week's mock draft we traded down, and then the chat took him at like 27. That's A+ draft to me. The
Right.
only issue is that we passed on Andrew Booth to do it. I remember that was the only thing holding it back for me. Otherwise, that's like a perfect night. Picked up a second round pick in the process. Perfect night. I like Trent McDuffie. It seems like there is a trend right now where he is almost even passing Booth. Mel Kiper says that, and Mel Kiper, the analyst, is not worth talking about, but mostly what he does now is just based off what he hears. Like his rankings reflect what he hears, not what he's seeing.
Right.
So it's worth noting in terms of like draft stock more than like his actual opinion on a player. He said that it's Stingley, Sauce, McDuffie, and then a gap, and then all the other corners. So if that's how the league views about him, like feel free, take McDuffie in the teens and let Booth fall. I'm all there. I like him. I like fringe first round pick. If he'd be someone I'd want them to trade down and then take. We're gonna talk about his teammate in a second. He's one of the guys from your list. I think we both like his teammate a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar.
A lot better.
I think they're very similar, to be honest. I don't have I don't have them too far off. I think that McDuffie is a slightly better athlete and Kyler Gordon is slightly bigger, which they are both like on the fringe of being undersized. So I would take that slightly bigger personally.
And the athleticism thing, people look at the 40, where if you look at actual athleticism, I think I would also take the other guys. So.
Yeah, right. So Booth is like my pipe dream at corner right now, or my main focus at corner, and I'd be very happy with Kyer Elam too. Elam also doesn't feel like a perfect fit in terms of like I think that he would be a little bit better in his zone coverage, but he is a lot better in the run game. He is a great tackler. That was his biggest area of development, I think, across his career at Florida. And he's more patient, where I think that he would thrive in man. If he
I think too, if you're talking about throwing a guy into this defense for 2022, I think Elam probably fits a little bit better because the Patriots aren't going to be that man team next year. They're going to do a lot of mix and match DBs. We're kind of just doing matchup based stuff. I think he fits that much better than Booth. But long term, Booth is the guy for me.
And even if we want to look at Kyer versus Sauce too, if you're looking for someone to step in year one, I wouldn't be surprised if Elam has a better year one, just because I think his body's more prepared for the NFL.
He's developed.
Like
he's more developed.
Sauce is just so frail still. Okay, let's transition into your list though. So we talked about Kyler Gordon a little bit. Tell me why you have him above McDuffie.
So I've put everything into the fact that I think he's Antrell Roll. And Antrell Roll, say what you will about how his NFL career turned out. He moved around a ton in terms of positionally what he did. But if you're looking for a DB who can do everything, and I'm like legit everything, I think that's Kyler Gordon. And I don't know a team who would be able to use a player like that better than the Patriots, especially on this defense. I just think he fits so well. He played outside corner. He was pretty much their number two corner at Washington. But he started off his career in the slot. He moved back and played safety the last 2 games of the season this year because they were just trying anything because that team was so bad. And, if you want to go back and look at Antrell Roll and their numbers, they they compare favorably. And I think it's a really good comp for a guy who came in as an athlete. He wasn't a cornerback. He was a wide receiver in high school and did some athlete stuff on defense. That's what he went to Washington as. He turned into a really good number 2 corner in the Pac-12, which is against a lot of speedy, fast track star type receivers. And he's filled out physically to where I think he could, bump up to an NFL size receiver who's got a better body maybe. And I think he can move to the next level without much trouble. I really, really like him.
And similar to everyone on this Georgia's defense, I think that I would take every single Washington defensive back, and that applies to McDuffie too. I think I like Gordon a little better, like I said, but if they took McDuffie, like I'm just falling back on it's a Washington defensive back. That's fine with me.
Yeah. The worst one in the past 10 years is Miles Bryant, and he's been fine.
Right, exactly. So before we get into the rest of your list, I did want to bring up Dax Hill. Thank you, Oliver, for bringing up the question as well. I personally I was all excited. I'd seen a little bit on Twitter of him. Everyone's been hyping this up. Take him at 21, and then you can move him around a little bit. If DMAC retired or left, I would love him as a DMAC replacement. I don't think that I love him as a corner, and I don't think that they're in a position where they can take someone that they know is eventually going to be a safety and try to plug in year one, unless you don't want to try and be competitive this year, which is fine because they probably not a playoff team this year. So if you want to do that and say, hey, maybe we unlock something at corner with him, and if not, he is DMAX replacement, that's fine because I think he'll be a great free safety for a man coverage team, just playing that like last line of defense. But I don't know that I see the fit at 21 necessarily for this year if you're looking to fill a need.
Yeah, so the danger of working with a bunch of people on the draft stuff, which is what I've done with Spags. Spags loves Dax Hill, and we've talked about him a ton. So much so where every time I hear his name, I kind of tune it out because it's like, all right, the Dax Hill thing's going. And I love Spags, and I respect his opinion, but
you just hear it too much. It gets beaten.
You just hear a name so much, it's like, all right, whatever. I get it, Dax Hill. I think Dax Hill's fine. If the Patriots drafted him with their first pick this year, I think people should be angry. But I don't think they would because it's like the Michigan thing. Plus, Patriots beat reporters love him.
I think anger would be a step too far. That would be like a perfect like C plus B minus for me. Like it's a whatever. Especially if they took him at 21. If they traded back, I could get into it. Otherwise,
what's a passing grade in college? Is it like 65? You technically passed the class.
Yeah,
that's what I'd give it.
Okay,
you passed. Don't like it though.
All right, let's move on through your list. We have a couple more DBs to talk about from your list here. So I want to talk about Jalen Petrie first, and I know this is one of your guys. So just crush on him for a second for me.
I love Jalen Petrie. He's like a little smaller version of Kyle Duggar. He's just as physical. He's not as strong as Duggar is because Duggar's a maniac, but he's like a pocket-sized version of Kyle Duggar. He does all of the same things. He did them all at Baylor, which is a school who pumps out safeties, like low-key pumps out a ton of NFL-quality safeties.
Since you brought up Duggar real quick, do you think that he is he's further along in pass coverage right now than Duggar was coming out?
Yeah, than Duggar was. I think Duggar, the leap he made last year was incredible.
Absolutely. Strongly agree. But I think Petrie it wouldn't be a liability year one in pass coverage the way Duggar kind of was.
Right, and that's the thing that comes back to level of college ball, where Baylor was playing big time schools this year, and he
for sure,
he got to develop where Duggar didn't really get the opportunity. And he's another guy who he's a little bit younger than Duggar was, so he's got all of the positives that he has over a guy like Duggar are great, and then the things that you would knock, where he's a little bit smaller, he's not as physical, he might not be ready to step in and just be one of their like Duggar was. He started. In his rookie year, he started games at 4 different positions, which is it's hilarious. He was a man amongst boys. Petrie's not that, but I'm willing to overlook those things because the other stuff. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. The other stuff is just it's so great. I like him a lot as a slot corner in year one, and then just chess piece. If you're looking for the Patriots to draft another safety who does a million things, this is the guy.
So I don't think that Petrie is a great fit for the Patriots just because they have so many of that type on their roster. And I knew this was your guy, so I didn't want to steer your thunder. But I watched him because you put him on the list. He's one of my favorite players in the draft too. That I've seen, which isn't a ton, but he rules. I said to Ryan Jackson earlier, who's in the chat right now, that he fucks. Like Jalen Petrie.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say that. He fucks. He's awesome.
He rules. For some reason, when I was watching him, San Francisco, that's my spot for him. I just could picture him flying around in that. They need a safety. They need some athleticism on the back end of their defense in general. So that's my ideal landing spot for him.
He's tremendous.
Yeah. And then Taylor Britt was your other one. I'm going to be honest. This is of everyone that we want to talk about tonight, this is the one that I got the least exposure to just because I couldn't find much on him and I was running out of time. So I just want to hear your thoughts on him.
Year one slot corner who's long enough to compete. Long term, he's got like the longest arms of all time. And I said it a few weeks ago. I feel bad because it's just such a rude thing to say about somebody. He plays like he has rabies. He's like he wants to kill people when he goes out there. And I respect that in a cornerback. He's super physical, and he gets his hands on everything. I love a guy who can just reach his arm out and get to a football, even if he's a step behind. He's that long and he has those great ball skills. That's the guy for me. I think the Patriots would love him. He's a leadership type guy where he'd walk in immediately and fit in. So that's why I like him so much, because I think he fits.
Yeah, I got to see one game of his, and the ball skills was what stood out to me. Was at the catch point, he felt really strong there. But it was one game, obviously, so not too many samples. You can go.
He locked down David Bell earlier this year, right around the beginning of the year, and that was the start to David Bell's decline in terms of his draft stock. He put him in chains and didn't let him out.
All right, we have a few minutes here. We're trying to keep this portion of the show to about half an hour. So let's rip through the rest of your guys, and then we have a few more to talk about. I'm gonna save Quay Walker for last. Quay Walker for last, however you pronounce it, because I want to talk about the Georgia guys in general. So then the last one was someone you alluded to earlier, DeMarvin Leal, defensive lineman out of Texas A&M, someone who can do a lot of what Devontae White does. Was like a top 10 pick. If you went back and looked at like the early 2022 mock drafts right after the 2021 draft ended, it was like DeMarvin Leal was like top 7, top 5.
Yeah.
And he's more of like a day 2 pick now. So tell me about why you think his stock fell and why you're still really high on him.
Oliver, I love you, by the way. I appreciate that. DeMarvin Leal, he's gotten...
Real quick, if they draft David Bell, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
That's they need... That is the last type of wide receiver that they need. Okay, continue.
Absolute bottom of the barrel type of guy. DeMarvin Leal is in the same boat as Kayvon Thibodeau, where people have just decided he doesn't play hard, even though they didn't really watch him. They were just like, oh, he doesn't play hard. That's just what defensive ends do. Is they don't sprint across the field and lose leverage on a, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, watch football,
especially the star ones who don't typically. I don't know specifically what Leal's snap percentages were for Texas A&M, but generally stars like that, especially on schools that don't typically have like an abundance of talent the way Georgia does, they play like every snap. So like you have to conserve your energy, otherwise
he was immediately their best defensive player as a freshman.
Right. He was a former 5-star, right? Was he a former number 1 overall?
No, he was number 3. I played against him in high school. That's another like why I had my eye on him.
Right.
Look at me and then look at DeMarvin Leal, and you'll see how that went. He was when I played against him. I was a senior. He was a sophomore. He was the number 1 sophomore recruit that year. He dropped down a couple by the time he came out. 5-star recruit, unbelievable physical guy. And the reason why I put him on the list, if you watch his tape against Mississippi State and Charles Cross and Mississippi State, they obviously don't do a whole lot of run blocking, so they're passing a lot, and it really showed how dominant he can be as a pass rusher. Not only from like 5 wide or wide 5 technique, but he can move all the way into a 3, I think, and be effective. He's fast, big, physical, like all the buzzwords that you want out of an edge player. But I think since the Patriots play that 3-4, or they've transitioned to that 3-4 thing where they kind of just want a bunch of DBs on the field, he's a defensive lineman you could put next to a Christian Barmore, and you can be effective enough to, get after the passer and get the ball out, and also stop the run if you need to. I think he fits perfectly. Josh Pascal is another guy who I wrote about earlier this year that fits that bill, but those are the 2 guys that do that, and I think they need that guy. So that's why he fits.
I like Leal, however you say it. I really like Josh Pascal.
Leal.
I really like Josh Pascal. That would probably be my guy if you're looking for that type. Again, I was talking with Ryan Jackson. I think that he said, and I agree with, like, Dietrich Wise plus for Pascal. Yeah. I'm all in on that. All in on Pascal. Like, especially if he falls to round 3, which he's kind of that like late to 3rd round type mix where the range is pretty wide. So if he makes it close to their 3rd round pick, all in for him there. All right, let's keep it moving. I want to talk the Georgia defense as a whole here, because it's a lot of the names that we haven't talked about yet. And I mean, I got to start with my guy, right? Nakobe Dean is the best player in this draft. Period. He's the best player in this draft. Roquan Smith, he is better Roquan Smith, and Roquan Smith was like a top 11 pick that was always like, he went to 11 and everyone's like, oh, Roquan Smith fell a little bit in the draft. Like, he was always a top 10 pick. This is a weak class, and Nakobe Dean's like a borderline 1st round pick. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know if it's because the Georgia defense is so good that, they're chalking it up to what was around him, or it's just because he's small. But Roquan Smith as well. Roquan Smith weighed a little bit more. So I don't know if it's just that he's tiny. Nakobe Dean does everything well. He is an elite blitzer. He has the best instincts of any rookie linebacker I've been an adult to see, or any linebacker prospect I've been an adult to see. The only thing that he's not going to do at an elite level in the NFL is take on like centers and guards just because of his size. So you put him specifically in a Patriots defense that loves having big men on the interior. They don't really go for like the like Grady Jarrett type, like smaller 3-techs inside. Right. They go for big boys. Like he would be perfect in New England. They've been talking all offseason about being fast, needing to be faster and more athletic on defense. And he is the perfect modern linebacker for the Patriots or for literally anyone. The Eagles, he should be a top 10 pick. Like I would love him for like the Jets or the Giants with one of their top 10 picks. Like I don't understand that it's feasible that he could be there for like at like 33 for the Jaguars. It makes no sense to me. He's the best player in this draft. He's one of my 3 blue chips. Smith did go 8th overall. Thank you. You're right. My bad.
I love that you love him. I do. And I'm not going to say something bad about him because I think he's great. He's my linebacker too. And I know
Devin
that
Lloyd's
kills
worse.
you.
Devin Lloyd's worse. He just simply is worse. Good player, simply is worse, and he is not a Patriots type linebacker. He is a linebacker who doesn't like contact. He is.
Well, I'm talking just me. You know how I would rate the linebackers. I think Devin Lloyd
not better.
I think Devin Lloyd at his peak can be like Bobby Wagner in terms of impact on a defense.
He simply is not better. He's good, first-round player. He's simply not better. I will say I'll do some of the nagging on Nakobe Dean myself because Deontay Lee, who if you don't follow Deontay Lee on Twitter, follow him because he is one of the best, specifically defensive, but best football minds, period. He is lower on Nakobe Dean than I am. He sees him as more of a early round 2 type of prospect, and mainly it's because of how aggressive Georgia was. I don't think that anything he said necessarily is wrong. It's more of the conclusion. Okay, I'll let you say it. Go for it.
No, let me do my one Dean thing, because then I'm gonna let you wax poetic about him. If he doesn't have, those big defensive linemen in front of him to cover him up to help him get to where he needs to go, I don't think he can be that effective at the next level. Physically, like you said, he can't take on the guards and the centers. And that's not just like blitzing and trying to get after the quarterback. I think that's trying to work through traffic to get to the outside, where at Georgia, he could just sprint to the sideline and not have to worry about it. He's not going to be able to do that at the NFL.
So that's where I disagree with you. I think that he is an elite. He's like a 100th percentile athlete at linebacker, first of all. And he is, even if everything that you say is correct and he is limited by the size that he has in front of him, he's still great in pass coverage, and he's still very instinctive and rangy and a surefire tackler. Like he pretty much doesn't miss tackles. So at the very least, you still have a solid, passing down linebacker, which maybe you don't want at your first round pick. Where I disagree is that I don't think that if you, like Deontay ended up saying that if he goes to a scheme that isn't as aggressive as Georgia was, which pretty much no NFL scheme is, then he might have some troubles transitioning because he was asked to do so much as a blitzer. I don't disagree with that he was asked to do so much as a blitzer. I disagree that I think that it might be limiting for him at the next level, because I think he can do everything. That's just what he was asked to do the most. He's a little small for tight ends, but if he can physically stay with them, he might get mossed every now and then. But he is the best. He is the raw first 1.1 top of my board in this draft. He is phenomenal, the best linebacker prospect that I've been like an adult to see.
I respect the love that you have for him. I really do.
Incredible. He's we talked about it like months ago. He's slightly smaller Gerard Mayo to me. That's it. That's like a perfect comp for him. He's very slightly smaller Gerard Mayo.
So you say that, but Gerard Mayo couldn't hold up past year 5.
And that would be a fair concern. He hasn't had injuries. He hasn't had injury history at Georgia though, so I'm not gonna play the predicting injuries game when he's been able to handle an SEC workload.
Somebody asked if he was they asked if Lloyd was an old. Dean's, what's he, 23?
I don't actually know either of their ages.
I think Lloyd's 23.
Nakobe Dean's 21.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Like just turned 21 in December of 2021.
So he'll be a 21-year-old rookie.
So he'll be 21 for basically his entire rookie year. Devin Lloyd is 23. He'll be 24, like right at the start of the season.
Right. Yeah, I knew that. But okay, so Dean
he is more than 3 full years older than Dean.
Dean is a super genius, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that. He graduate from Georgia with like a aerospace engineering degree in like
something
3
like
years.
That. And you can, I mean, even if I don't really care about off-field smarts, he's one of the smartest football prospects that I've ever seen too. He's instinctive as hell.
Well, it translates. We all know that
it sure
superior NFL mind Matt Patricia was a scientist, a rocket scientist.
Exactly. So that
the Red
is
Sox
my
stink, by the way.
I haven't even put it on. Carabas said that half their team got COVID today, and I just instinctively tuned out this entire series.
All the catchers. Connor Wong is catching the game. It's great.
Love that. Shout out Mookie Betts. Okay. So that's my spiel on Nakobe Dean. He's the best player in this draft. And spoiler, we're doing big boys next week for the Patriots specifically. He's at the top of mine. If he's at 21 and they don't take him, I will combust. I'll probably walk off the stream. He's incredible. Quay Walker is the last of your names. I also am a big Quay Walker fan. Like I said, I am in on basically every Georgia defender except for Devontae Wyatt, who we already talked about. Quay Walker, where are you taking him in this class if you have the option?
He's linebacker 3 for me, and that's very high for a lot of people. That's Jamie Collins, baby. That's all that guy is. He's just Jamie Collins. Yep. But he played at a bigger school, and he's going to be ready immediately. I friggin' love this guy. I think he's great. He's the best, comfortably the best overall athlete, I think, amongst the linebackers. Like explosive.
Are you factoring in size and like explosion? Because I would still say personally, but yeah.
No, size, explosion.
Yeah.
You can be a better athlete when you're smaller because you're carrying around less. This he's like around 240. He's one of the bigger linebackers in this class because linebackers are tiny now.
Yep.
And he's unbelievably explosive. He gets to the ball carrier from like this is what I'll say about him to knock him. I don't think his IQ is where it needs to be to play in the NFL right now.
He's a bull in a china shop right now.
Exactly, and he's the ball's over there. Yeah. Right, the ball's over there. I'm gonna go get the ball. That's not how you can play.
And again, not to bring it back to Dean, but he had Dean next to him. He could do that because Dean was always going to be in the right spot if Walker ended up in the wrong spot.
And we remember, Jamie Collins, when he got traded, the reason that everybody got, which who knows if it's the truth or not, but he just wasn't doing what they were asking him to do. He was kind of freelancing, trying to do his own thing. I think Quay Walker did a little bit of that. But at Georgia, when you're a 5-star athlete, they're not going to take you off the field. They're going to keep you and they're going to let you do your own thing.
Yeah. And last name specifically, Jordan Davis here on the Georgia defense. Jordan Davis, monster. I don't see the fit for the Patriots, but also he's so good and he's so cool that if they took him, I have no issues.
Put him on the field, he makes everybody else better.
Yeah.
That's Jordan Davis.
He's a monster. Like that's Vince Wilfork, modern day Vince Wilfork, probably.
He's literally pound for pound the best athlete of all time. Like I don't think you can argue with that. He's like Bo Jackson, but 400 pounds. This guy's great.
And then just real quick, tell me in or out. We won't talk much about him, but Channing Tindall.
Out.
I'm in. I'm still in.
Okay.
Day two
Georgia.
in, but like round 3, I'm in. Yeah, I think that there's something there as like a rotational pass rusher. Luis Cine.
Out.
Out? For everyone or Patriots specifically? Because I meant for everyone.
Patriots specifically, everyone. I think he could find a Texans. Justin Reed comes to mind. But for the Patriots, like Devin McCourty's there, and he doesn't. Luis Cine doesn't need time to develop, and you're wasting away if you draft that guy.
Yeah, I'm for the Patriots for sure out. Overall, this is probably one of the ones I'm lower on. Again, I think as a safety, he just was able to clean up. He had an easy job with everyone in front of him. But I like early round 2, I think that's fine. And then Darion Kendrick is the last one here. I don't understand. He's like day 3 pick now. I understand not being around 1 anymore, but day 2 to me, I'd be in there. So if he falls to day 3 and they haven't taken a corner yet, even if they have taken a corner yet, pull the trigger, round 4.
Yeah, there's something about him that screams he's going to find his way onto the field very early. To me.
Yep. And then just looking ahead to next year, I'm spacing on dude's name that we were just talking about, defensive
Nolan
tackle.
Smith or Jalen Carter?
Jalen Carter, like top 10 pick next year. Nolan Smith, I don't know where his like round value is, but I'm in on him next year as well.
Yeah, Nolan Smith was the number 1 recruit, and Carter was like number 7, and
Gotcha.
they flopped roles. But I think Carter's like a top 3. Solomon Thomas got drafted as a defensive tackle at number 3, then Jalen Carter can.
Yeah, and Solomon Thomas stunk. I was on that from day one, by the way.
God bless Mitch Trubisky for taking all that heat, because that was the worst pick, Solomon Thomas.
All right, we are over time at this point, but there's still a few more random names. Kyle Hamilton, a couple of the guys in the chat correctly guessed it. That's my last blue chipper. Safety 1, should be a top 10 pick. Just incredible range. Doesn't have the athleticism that it looks like he has, because he's just all over the field at all times, but that's like a Pro Bowl safety from day one.
Yep.
No shot for the Patriots, obviously, but someone's going to.
He's my number 2 player.
Yeah, he. I'd probably go Dean, Stingley, Hamilton would be my top 3. And then George Karlaftis. We'll keep it quick. In or out if he gets the Patriots 21, because it seems like his stock's falling.
Yeah, in Trey Flowers.
In on the player, out on the positional need for the Patriots, but I like him a lot. Jermaine Johnson, in or out?
Out for the Patriots. He's very raw.
Out overall for me, if he's going to go round 1. I think the athleticism there is like Odafe Owe, like he's less athletic and like equally raw. So if that's late round 1, like early round 2 for Jermaine Johnson.
I was so wrong about Odafe Owe. He changed his name after the draft, like an asshole.
It wasn't fair of him.
If he changed his name, I would have been in. I was right, but I was wrong at the same time.
Yeah. So I think Jermaine Johnson would be more of like a second round pick, and people are talking about him like late top 10. So exactly, Oliver.
I think people are just assume that he's going to go to the Vikings for some reason. Right. Like I see that a million times.
Any other names here that you want to talk about for round 1? I saw some. I'm going to have to skip over the linebackers that we were asked to talk about. I'm sorry.
Right.
The commenter said that, but any last names that we're missing here that you want to hit on?
Everybody else was like in or out. Boy Mafe, I think, can be a really good pass rusher, but he has a lot. He's a good edge setter as well, but he doesn't really finish on the run. He just kind of turns things back, and So that's about it.
I'm trying to find. Okay, I can't even think of first names for 2 of these guys. One's so the Alabama linebacker.
Christian.
Christian Harris. Is that what it is?
Christian Harris. Yep.
Yeah. In or out?
I'm in. I like him. He's a little small, but he's good.
Leo Chenal.
I don't have an opinion on him other than he's going to get into a fight in training camp. That's all I've got.
Out at 21, which I've started to see recently in like a trade back or round 2. And then the last one's Anderson, and I cannot even pull what the first name is there.
Troy.
Okay. Yeah, that name means nothing to me, I'm going to be honest.
I'm in. He's a stupid athlete, like dummy athlete. Okay. So you can do something with him. He'll figure it out.
For a little inside baseball here for you guys, I was planning on not doing draft stuff this year and kind of hosting this for Keegan and Spags to be an airway to talk, and then Spags was, big time in us. So I kind of had to speed run through like most of the prospects in the past like week or 2.
We love Spags, by the way.
We do love Spags. I love Spags. Yeah, he's a busy man. He's got a job and doing a ton of other stuff for us. So
yeah, he's verified. He's got better shit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, excuse me. Let's get into the mock draft. So set the screen up. So it's gonna be the same format as last week. One round. We will rotate between me, Keegan, and you guys in the chat. You'll have like a minute to get a consensus going in the chat on who you want to pick. I'm going to do another randomizer, but I'm going to try to make sure that, sorry, chat, you don't get to pick the Patriots again. So that's how it goes. We can do trades. We're probably not going to try to do too many trades, but if we can get, something makes sense or someone really doesn't have a fit, we'll probably try to put something together quickly.
By the way, this is Troy Anderson as a linebacker, which is unbelievable.
All right, I'm in.
Okay.
That's what they need at linebacker is just athletes. All right, So let's randomize this. All right, perfect. I'm picking second again, but you and chat flip-flop, Keegan. So chat's going to pick first. I'm going to pick second, and then you will pick third.
Sick. I get the Patriots.
Yeah, you get the Patriots.
You're not sharing your screen. Did you know that?
Yeah, I am not. You are right. I'm not sharing my screen. Thank you.
Okay. Late start
All
for the
right.
boys this week, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. It was a rough Tuesday for both of us. So this just to make sure everyone knows I'm not lying because this is an important thing that can't be lied on. All right, chat. You are on the clock first overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you are likely going to be picking between Aiden Hutchinson or Trevon Walker here. If you want to go Kayvon Thibodeau and do what they wouldn't do, then go for it. But it is up to you guys. We got two Hutches. I think Hutch is probably the leader. We went with it last week. My gut's telling me that it's going to end up being Trevon Walker. This feels like the type of thing that everyone just wants to mention it, but doesn't want to solidify it too hard. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what's happening?
Right.
So we got two Hutchinsons, a Walker, Kyle Hamilton. Come on, Ryan. Everyone boo Ryan Jackson in the chat.
Boo. I mean, gotta throw this up there.
It is true. PFF hates Trevon Walker. I can't imagine why they are trying to slander Trevon Walker right as their Aiden Hutchinson podcast is started up.
Right.
Can't read between the lines there at all.
If there's one reliable source on Aiden Hutchinson slander news, it's PFF.
Kobe Dean, you want, buddy? I would. All right. It looks like it's going to be Aiden Hutchinson. So we'll go Hutchinson. And then I am on the clock second for the Lions. It's Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm not even going to think about it here. It's free there. Texans third. This is the first interesting spot.
Kyle Hamilton. Draft the best player
okay.
available. They stink. They need every position, obviously, as you can see. Draft Kyle Hamilton.
Okay. Chat, you have the Jets at 4. Don't screw them over. Pretend you're a Jets fan. I know it's gross.
They're going to pick, Britton Covey, the punt returner from Utah.
Sam Howell.
He was born to be a Jet, that guy.
It's a shame that they took Zach Wilson first. Garrett Wilson, Evan Neal. I think Evan Neal makes sense correct. Here. Yeah, going to be Sauce Gardner. So we got an Evan Neal. We got two Neals. All right, we're going to go with Neal. I'm going to keep this short because we ran long talking about prospects. So we'll go Evan Neal. I am on the clock with the Giants at 5. I'm pretty sure this is this is very similar to how it started last week. I'm going to go Derek Stingley here. I believe I took a tackle for them and then Stingley fell to 7. But with 2 tackles still available, I know I could get one. Or Chat would get one. Yeah, Chat would get one at 7. So I'm going to go Derek Stingley here. And then we have the Panthers on the clock at 6, and that is Keaton.
Kenny Pickett's jersey's already made. Kenny Pickett.
I think we talked about last week how it would be very Matt Rule that he's just too lazy. He recruited Kenny Pickett in college, so he's just going to take him.
He did no draft prep this year.
He's not even on the list. Oh, he's 48th. I passed him, but
that's
Kenny Pickett at 6. Mm-hmm. And then, Chat, you have the second Giants pick here after I took Derek Stingley at 5. Still got Charles Cross, Ike Ekwonu. Go corner, go Derek Stingley and Sauce.
That would be electric.
That would be incredible. We got Ekwonu.
Oh, the chat's right.
Ekwonu.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Oh, yeah, going Ekwonu?
No, yeah, great job.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a lot there. It's easy to have the best draft when you're picking 5th and 7th in a draft where the top 10 talent skews towards the bottom of the draft and the top 3. But if they get one of the top 3 tackles and then Stingley, that's home run. Or Hamilton, home run. I'm on the clock with the Falcons. Last week I traded out to take Desmond Ridder for the Washington football team, completely forgetting that they have Carson Wentz. They kind of have a need everywhere here. I think I'm going to go. How do we feel about Charles Cross? Who's their other tackle right now? They still have McGarry, right? Probably not out on him yet.
Caleb McGarry. Is it still Jake Matthews?
And Jake Matthews just signed an extension, so he's not going anywhere. Maybe this still feels like a trade back spot. Maybe the Texans come up again to get their tackle after they took Kyle Hamilton. How would we feel about that? Who picks for the Texans here? That would be Chat. Chat, how do you feel about the Texans coming up to get Charles Cross? Just give me a yes or no, because as the chat. Nah, we have a nah. Thinks Falcons should go wide receiver. No. All right. Chat doesn't like it. Chat doesn't like Charles Cross with Texans, so I'm stuck on the board. My My calls were rejected. Time is running out. Man, I'm gonna go Sauce. I'm gonna go Sauce for the Falcons. I don't like the wide receiver value yet, and if I can't trade down, I'm gonna take who I think is one of the better players still available. They brought in Casey Hayward, but that's who I wanted for the Patriots. But that's like a 1-year solution type thing. They could use Sauce long term. Keegan, Seahawks are on the clock at 9.
I want to draft a quarterback, but I'm gonna go Charles Cross.
I'm gonna go Charles Cross. This one, I think that's smart.
Just get a tackle, dude.
Yep. And then Chat is on the clock at 10 for the Jets for the second time after they took Evan Neal at 4. Again, be nice.
I'm glad you're not watching the Red Sox.
Got a few walkers coming in. Jameson Williams.
Oh, Walker's fallen. This is not.
Yeah, he has fallen. I don't know. I don't feel like he's got like top 5 buzz. I feel like it's the Jaguars really like him. And if the Jaguars don't take him, I don't think it's completely unreasonable.
I was gonna take him at 3 and just go clean sweep, but
I think we're probably reaching his floor, but I feel like if the Jaguars don't take him, that he could follow it, which probably says something about whether the Jaguars should take him or not. But it looks like we have a consensus with Walker here, so we'll go Travon Walker at 10. So the Jets come out of this round 1 with Evan Neal and Travon Walker. That's a pretty good haul. Bobby Dahlbeck strikes out looking. I saw on Gamecast. Interesting. All right.
They were squeezing him. It was at his knees. Too tall, too handsome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that looping swing. You would hate for him to go hit one at his knees with his uppercut swing. Washington football team's on the clock. I'm not going to go quarterback again because I'm not, I'm over it.
Inside baseball, Ryan was beating himself up last week.
I was very mad at myself for completely spacing on Carson. In fairness to me, Carson Wentz isn't a real human. Simply isn't a real human.
He dressed up like a hot dog for his intro.
I hate him so much. Also, I know they're the Commanders. They will never be the Commanders. It is the Washington football team.
Remember when he, on his torn ACL and MCL, proposed to his wife, and after they won the Super Bowl, and the Eagles fans wanted him jailed? That was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm gonna go something that probably doesn't make a ton of sense for them, but I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I think I'm gonna go Jameson Williams. Terry, there's starting to be a little some rumors about being tough to sign Terry. They gave Curtis Samuel the bag last offseason, which I think was a mistake. They don't really have a third. Diami Brown, they took in the 3rd round last year. He didn't really do much. I think that they could use some reinforcements at wide receiver, and where the value of this draft is doesn't really align with what they need. So I'm gonna go Jameson. That takes you on the clock to the Vikings.
This is tough because who knows what the Vikings are gonna do?
Right.
I feel like Jermaine Johnson is. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I said it earlier. They're gonna draft him. Jermaine Johnson's my pick.
Okay.
Second.
So Chad is on the clock with the Texans after you took Kyle Hamilton 3rd overall.
Oh yeah, brother.
So they got Carl Loftus. They got some wide receivers on the board. Trent McDuffie, Bernard Ryman.
I'm about to put Philly back in the playoffs with these picks, man. Howie.
We've got a Carl Loftus, Devin Lloyd, Trevor Penny. It's all over the board here. We got a second Carl Loftus. That's the leader in the clubhouse right now. All right, we got 3 Carl Loftus. We'll play first to 3 here most of the time, I think. So Carl Loftus gets there first. 13. Probably you don't like Carl Loftus?
Not at 13.
Not at 13, yeah. Probably a little high. You said Trey Flowers. I had someone in mind that I'm spacing on now. It'll come to me in 10 minutes, and I'll bring it up out of nowhere. I am on the clock with the Ravens at 14, and I had trouble with this pick last week too. I'm going to go. I think I went Linderbaum for them, didn't I? Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Man. They just brought in Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
They just brought back Michael Pierce, though, and Pierce is good. I don't know that they would take that type of positional value when they don't absolutely need to.
Who cares if you have 2 elite defensive tackles?
Yeah, I'll go Jordan Davis. We'll do it. Break my heart if he was on the Ravens, but
Garrett Wilson he's a Philadelphia Eagle. Take it.
All right, send it. I'm surprised you didn't do Chris Olave.
I have a master plan.
Okay, all right. This is chat at 16 for the Saints. Their first of 2 picks. You will be making both of them.
This is also very true.
Yeah.
That's fun on one side of the line.
We got one Desmond Ridder. We got one Chris Olave for the Saints so far.
You son of a bitch. Don't do it.
If you were planning on going Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, I'll let you know right now it's not happening, brother.
No, I wasn't.
We got We got 2 Malik Willises. So we got Malik Willis with 2, Chris Olave with 1, Desmond Ridder with 1. Give it about 30 more seconds to see if anything pushes across the line here. Nothing's coming in. Any final votes yet? Otherwise, we're going to go with Malik Willis.
Sleeping at the wheel.
Yeah.
Come on,
all
guys. Right. No idea. Probably a wide receiver. Love that take.
All right, Malik Willis it is. I would probably have gone Ridder there. We talked about last week. I think I have Ridder a little higher than Willis, but those are my top 2 quarterbacks, so no problem with it. This is the same pick I did last week, but it's got to happen. Chris Olave.
Yeah,
they need a wide receiver 3. No Jordan Davis. Olave to the Chargers. He'd fit in perfectly with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
The number 2 destination for your boys is San Diego because they don't play in Los Angeles. See, this is trouble because I really want to go 2 wide receivers because just their wide receiver core is just so ass. But I'm going to go to Kobe.
Yeah, all right, thank you. I was going to say, as much as it hurts me that he wouldn't be available for the Patriots, I'm not controlling the pick anyway. I know you wouldn't take him, so this is where Dean should be going. That's like the next best fit for him. Saints are on the board. You guys just took Malik Willis, and now you're going to look to get him a wide receiver, it looks like. Willis, then receiver next. Darkblue Gold had said probably a wide receiver. Drake London looks like the top wide receiver on the board right now. Traylon Burks would be next. Please don't take Sky Moore. Devin Lloyd. We got a Ryman. Raymond. Is it Raymond?
Ryman.
Okay.
I've yet to get Burns' thoughts on him because they're Austrian. Fellow Austrian, but I'm interested to see what he thinks about him.
We got two Rymans, we got a Devin Lloyd, and we've got a Traylon Burks.
There is a correct answer.
We had Ryman vote came from the same person, so we have one Ryman, one Devin Lloyd, one Traylon Burks. All right, someone's gonna need to break the tie here. Someone get in here. All right, he said take. We had to take OL, which would be Ryman. So we're gonna go with Ryman here to the Saints. What was the correct answer in your opinion?
It was Ryman.
It was Ryman. Okay, I probably would have gone Drake London. I think I'm on the board with the Steelers here before Keegan gets to the Patriots pick, and I took a quarterback for them last time. I took a bad quarterback for them last time. Desmond Ridder's still on the board, who is a good quarterback this time. So I think I'm gonna go Desmond Ridder for them. And that takes us to the Patriots, folks. Keegan, what are you thinking here? We just said Dark Blue Gold wasn't listening.
No, yeah. Come on.
What's the show? Keegan's a Kyler Gordon guy.
Big time Kyler Gordon guy. I do want to get the chat's thoughts on this before. Let's guess who you think I'm going to pick because I don't know if anybody's going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Andrew Booth here, I'm going to reach to the monitor.
It's between 2 for me. Booth is one of them. I want to see if anybody can go with the other guy.
Booth or Lloyd is YKBS's guess. YKBS also says he'd go with Booth. Kyrie Elam.
I do not want London. Come on, follow me on Twitter. Let's go. Come on. All right, no one's getting it. Trevor Penning was the other guy. I think they like him.
Ew, boo.
I know.
Tomato.
You're going to take Trevor Penning, you sick bastard. I love that. Andrew Booth's the pick, but I want to see if anyone's going to guess that. I like Trevor Penning as well, but Andrew Booth Jr. is the pick.
Thank you. That's an A+ night for the Patriots. We love it. Yeah, we pop bottles if Andrew Booth goes 21 to the Patriots. All right, chat, you are on the clock at 22 with the first of the Packers picks. I believe you'll pick for both of them as well. There's a lot of symmetry in the picks here for groups of 3. It's very nice. We got Drake London early on. I think that would make a lot of sense. another London. I'm just gonna go ahead. I think that makes too much sense. And there's a third. We'll go Drake London to the Packers. I think that makes a ton of sense. Excuse me. This is like a dream for the Cardinals. He probably makes it just because centers don't have that type of value. But the Cardinals have been looking for good offensive linemen for the entirety of my life, and Tyler Linderbaum would like be day one the best lineman they've ever had. I know it's
Jonathan
a center.
Cooper 4th overall or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 8th. They took him like 7th, and then Chance Warmack to the Titans also went top 10, and they both sucked.
Right.
One of them, I think it was Cooper, is a former Patriots legend, right?
Oh yeah, he was traded for Chandler Jones.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Tyler Linderbaum is my pick for the Cardinals. I think I took him to the Ravens last week, which was probably a little high for a center, but he's that good. This is probably more appropriate for someone of his talent, but also position. Keen, you're on the clock with the Cowboys.
Before I make this pick, Alabama offensive linemen low-key kind of stink, huh?
In the NFL or like this?
Yeah. No, in the NFL. They just kind of suck.
Hit or miss. I feel like the tackles usually work out pretty well.
Alex Leatherwood last year, Jedrick Wills.
Yeah, but he's barely stayed. He was really good rookie year. I was thinking of Jonah. What's his name?
Jonah Williams.
Jonah Williams. I was gonna say Wilson, but I knew that wasn't right. And then you got like Cam Robinson's worked out decently as a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go Trevor Penny.
Trevor. Hate it.
Why do you hate him?
He's bad because he's bad. The Bills need a wide receiver. I don't know how true that is.
Man. What's the other one? I can't see that.
Defensive line.
Yeah, okay.
The issue is that they don't need anything, and it pisses me off. Let me pull up their depth chart real quick. This is my pick, right? No, this is Chat's pick. I was like, I don't remember picking for them last week. Chat, what do you want the Bills to take here? Chat picked every divisional rival, by the way, this week. Got running back Burks, Kyler Gordon.
Team Crazy Matt, just agent of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that scene from Harold and Kumar where the guy, who is that? You know the actor's name. I know the actor's name. All right, we're gonna move on.
Neil Patrick Harris?
The drive-through worker. He's got his own show. Anthony Anderson. He's like, I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down. You draft Kyler Gordon. I'm burning it down.
It looks like Burks is the favorite here, which I would personally be okay with. I don't get Traylon Burks at all. We talked about it last week. I would be perfectly fine if they took Traylon Burks.
There's one correct answer here for the Titans.
I had a name in mind, but I don't feel like we have the same name in mind.
Okay.
But I'm gonna
go ahead and do it. I'm not gonna tell you.
I'm gonna go Zion Johnson.
Yep. Correct.
All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. We talked about last week. Zion Johnson rules. Devin Lloyd's falling pretty far right now.
Bones me.
Yep.
That's where Tampa Bay would have went.
Yep. I still think that there's a correct answer along the same lines for Tampa, but you do you.
You know what? I'm gonna double it up. Kenyon Green.
Yep. Where is he? There he is. Kenyon Green didn't make it into the first round last week, I don't think, for us. I think this might be our first new name. Which we'd love to see.
Might be.
Packers, 2nd pick here. You guys went Drake London first. Who are we going 2nd? This, not to sway you guys, I was going to say this might be the spot for Lloyd at this point. It's not like their most urgent need, but.
Got a couple.
Yeah, we got a few Lloyds.
One more. Let's send this thing through.
Yeah, Lloyd and McDuffie, we're taking it. All right, we're going Lloyd. That puts me on the clock with the first of Kansas City's back-to-back picks. Last week we had them. They were the trade-up with the Patriots, and they took – did they take Burks there? They took someone –
They took Burks.
Yeah. They traded up for Burks there at 21.
No, actually, they took Drake London. Burks went to Green Bay because I picked
You're right.
Burks.
Yeah, you're right. It was great. They traded up for Drake London, who goes one pick later this time, which – you know, if we were running this, that indicates that Kansas City made the right move last week because they was going to get taken.
Yeah.
So I don't really love. Again, I am not a Sky Moore guy at all here. I'm probably out on the wide receivers here. Like maybe they go Jahan Dotson for that speed.
You passed
Try to
over a
replace
name that feels
at wide receiver or just in general.
no in general.
Yeah. I'm just talking wide receivers because that would be the first place people would look. Like Jahan Dotson is probably who I would take here if I was taking a wide receiver for them, just to replace that speed because they really don't have speed. I mean, they don't have good speed. They have McCole Hardman who stinks.
Right.
You thinking McDuffie or Kyer?
Either one.
Yeah, I like Elam a little more, so I'm gonna go Kyer here. Get them some corner help, and then you can fill in their second pick here.
Go Devontae Wyatt. I think they need help on the defensive line.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then Chat has the Bengals.
There's also a correct answer here.
I feel like I messed something up here, but I guess I didn't. Bengals here. Both the guards that they would love to have and the center that they would love to have just went in the 8 picks before them.
They also signed them all in the offseason. Like they don't really need those as much as they did. PFF needs to update.
We got McDuffie. So it is Trent McDuffie.
Correct.
Although, as you said, I mean, if you like Kyler Gordon better, maybe Kyler Gordon's pick there.
Love me some Kyler
Gordon. The Lions kind of need everything, right? Neither of the quarterbacks that I would take here fell, so I'm not taking either of them. We took Kayvon Thibodeau for them first overall, so we don't need like a Boye Mafe. I took Dax Hill for them last week. I'll switch it up this week. Do I want to switch it up a little bit and go with like a Jalen Petrie, or do I want to switch it up completely and go a different position altogether? I'm gonna go. Yeah, we'll go Jalen Petrie. Let's get out of here.
I like it.
All
right, you're gonna keep the top 10 up for me.
Yes, sir. Oh, get rid of that.
All right, you're good.
Oliver, based on what we did, you would have hit that over because Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, and Malik Willis all went. So congratulations. Over 3.5. God damn, I saw 2.5. My bad. You would have lost. My bad. All right, let's recap. Aiden Hutchinson went first overall to the Jaguars. Kayvon Thibodeau second overall to the Lions. Keegan took Kyle Hamilton third to the Texans. Evan Neal to the Jets. Jarek Stingley, Kenny Pickett, and Ike Ekwonu to the Giants, Panthers, and Giants. Sauce Gardner, Charles Cross, Trayvon Walker round up the top 10. Jameson Williams to the Washington football team. Jermaine Johnson to the Vikings. George Karlaftis to the Texans. Jordan Davis to the Ravens. Garrett Wilson to the Eagles for their first pick. Malik Willis to the Saints for their first pick. Chris Olave to the Chargers. Nakobe Dean for the Eagles' second pick. Bernard Ryman for the Saints' second pick. Desmond Ridder to the Steelers. Andrew Booth Jr. to the Patriots. Mwah. Chef kiss. Drake London to the Packers. Tyler Linderbaum to the Cardinals. Trevor Penny to the Cowboys. Traylon Burks to the Bills. Zion Johnson to the Titans. Kenyon Green to the Bucks. Devin Lloyd to the Packers. Kyer Elam and Devontae Wyatt with back-to-back Kansas City picks. Trent McDuffie to the Bengals, and then Jalen Petrie rounds out our first round to the Lions. So that'll do it for us, pals. This was week 2 out of 3, so we're already entering our final week. We will be back next week. What we're going to do it a little bit different because we've already hit all the first round names. We're going to build out a big board. Keegan and I have both already submitted our top 5 big board for the Patriots 21, and then we will also build one out with chat together. We'll build a top 10 out with chat for the Patriots wish list at 21, and then we will compare our top 5s and the top 10.
And if you guys want your own top 5, you can always bring those, throw them in the chat.
Yep.
You might compare and contrast for a few minutes. That could be fun.
Absolutely. So instead of talking about new names, we'll spend some time kind of stacking the board for the Patriots here. It's something that I used to do in articles. I simply don't have the time for that anymore. But
can't do it.
And then we will get into a Patriots specific 7-round mock draft. So we'll do a 7-round. We'll go nice and slow. I'd try to identify potential trade opportunities. We'll figure it out as a unit. I might take precedence on the first pick because I didn't get to pick for the Patriots yet. But we'll figure out the 7-rounder as a unit, and then we have the live show next Thursday. So if you're not following twitch.tv/Pats_Pulpit, go ahead and follow there. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe there. If you're not following us on Twitter, follow there. Follow Keegan on Twitter at in his name. Don't follow me. I mostly tweet about the Red Sox or the Celtics. And
Go
we'll be
C's,
back
baby.
next. Yes, sir. And we will be back next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you next week.